Now on to questions 41 through 45. So we have a trapezoid here in this diagram, and we want to find out which of the following vertical lines cuts ABCD into two trapezoids with equal areas. So let's look at the midpoint of each of the lines. So we need to find a line that cuts it this way, like a straight line that cuts it, something like that. So let's look for the midpoint of the base 1 and base 2. So let's look at base 1. The midpoint is going to be, so we're going to call this B1 and this is B2. So the midpoint is 3 plus 9 over 2, 4 plus 4 over 2. So that's going to give us 6, 4. Now B2 is going to be 2 plus 12 over 2, 1 plus 1 over 2. So that's going to give us 7, 1. So we have 6 on the top right there, and then we have 7 at the bottom right here. So the midpoint there will just be the average of, because we're looking for a vertical line, so it's going to be on the x-axis, so it's going to be 6 plus 7 divided by 2. It's going to be the midpoint of those two different points, because we need a line that cuts through in the same position or at the same point for base 1 and base 2. So this is going to give us 6.5. So x is going to be equal to 6.5. If f of x equal to x minus 1 over x and g of x is 1 over x, what is f of g of 1/2? So the first thing we're going to look for is what is g of 1/2, which is 1 divided by 1/2, which is 1 times 2. And that's going to give us 2. So now we look for f of 2, which is 2 minus 1 over 2. Let's make them same denominator, 4 over 2 minus 1 over 2. That's going to give us 3 over 2. A formula to estimate the monthly payment P dollars on a short-term loan is given below, where A dollars is the amount of the loan, R is an annual interest rate expressed as a decimal, and Y years is the length of the loan. When A is multiplied by 2, what is the effect on P? So I'm going to rewrite this, just factor out A, since that's what we care about. So we factor out A, and we have 1/2 RY plus 1 over 12Y. So if we multiply A by 2, so we're looking at P is 2A 1/2 RY plus 1 over 12Y. So this is going to give us A 1/2 RY plus 1 over 6. Now what we see here is that what has happened generally with this equation is that the value of P has actually doubled. So the value of P has actually doubled because here we have division by 12 and then we have division by 6. For you to get division by 6, you're actually multiplying the whole thing by 2. So P is divided by 6. Actually, P is actually multiplied by 2 because P has doubled. So P is multiplied by 2. Number 44. The points 6, 4, and 14, 12 lie in the standard XY. Point D lies on EF between E and F such that the length of EF is 4 times the length of DE. So let's look for the length of EF. EF is going to be square root of y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared. So this is going to give us square root of 12 minus 4 squared plus 14 minus 6 squared, which is going to give us square root of 8 squared plus 8 squared, which is square root of 128, and that's going to give us 8 square root of 2. So that's the length of EF. So we're told that the EF is going to be 4 times the length of DE. So let's make this D. So 4 times the length of this, so DE is equal to 1/4 of EF, which is 1/4 times 8 square root of 2, which is going to give us 2 square root of 2. So for you to get 2 square root of 2, it's going to be the same as the square root of 8. So what we're going to have is, we're going to have a situation where we have the square root of 4 plus 4. Now to get the square root of 4, that means that the difference between looking at E is going to be 6, 4. And then D, the difference between the x coordinate in E and the x coordinate in D must be 2, and same for the y coordinate. So we're going to look at possibility of getting 8 and 6. Let's see if there's something like that in the answer. Okay. So what we've done here is to look, because we're looking for a square root of 4 plus 4, we need to have a situation where the difference between the x coordinates is 2 and the difference between the y coordinates is also 2. So given that A to this matrix is, we're looking for A, which is so we're looking at the scalar multiplier here. So let's look for the scalar multiplier. So the only value that we have in both, the only position that is filled in both matrices is this position right here. So 6A is equal to 27. So A is 27 over 6, which is going to give us, well, let's leave it at that. A is 27 over 6. So A is 27 over 6, and we're looking for the value of x plus z. So let's add up the value of x plus z and then look at the same position in the first matrix. So we have A multiplied by 2 plus 4 is equal to x plus z. So 27 over 6 multiplied by 6 is equal to 27.